their best showing by far. So I hope they go with it, or they have something prepared for skill cap, because I'd be willing to wager that skill cap's going to be locking that in blind, and they are. So skill cap, they're going with it, and Method EU, they're going to be mixing it up. So they're bringing in the assassination rogue instead. I don't really know who is supposed to win this matchup. I feel like you definitely go either way, but in the past, skill cap has definitely won a lot more than they have lost. So we'll definitely see how this one plays out. Skill cap versus Method EU. I mean, this is just unbelievable that both these teams find themselves in the lower bracket. This is an elimination series, lots to play for. The winner of this will have their chance at a rematch against Horizon for that championship title.
Yep, and it all begins here. This is the matchup. They need to win this one. And Method EU, of course, maybe a little bit fatigued from that long series they just played there earlier against Reload. And now it is time for them to reload their mental state and get aggressive here. Right now it's going to be actually skill cap getting aggressive onto Waz. He forced out the vanish right there, and that was one shackle committed. Now Sheep Shot into Ring of Frost here by Maro. A nice master spell coming out though from Prophecy. Prophecy getting polymorphed, but the damage is already done when he gets that master spell, and that means the setup will be shut down. And I feel like Method are struggling very, very much right now to find pressure. So for them, they need to find a good target and start forcing out these trinkets, because I feel like if this game goes on for a long period of time, they might actually be the team that's going to be on the back foot. And as I say that, Raz makes a smoke bomb play. They get the dispersion for the smoke bomb, but it is overlapped with the iron bark, so small victory there. But in general, dispersion for a smoke bomb is definitely a trade that you would favor for the Shadow Priest.
All right, let's see if they can get anything going here. They're definitely not confident in mirroring skill cap, so breaking out Waz on the rogue, but he will be susceptible to getting pulled into the middle of the map and torn apart as he retreats back to the pillar, channels a fleshcraft to bolster his defense before making another push. Both druids on the outskirts of the map looking to try and find drinks. Asgarath gets sniped and prevented on his, and they're trying to go for a kidney shot, but Waz is getting roasted by Maro right now. Barely recovering thanks to Chaz's nature swiftness in that position. And they're trying to capitalize on the downtime of dispersion here. They go for blind onto Asgarath. Asgarath trinkets blind, gets sapped on his trinket. Beautiful punish by Waz here. They might be able to clutch out a win if they can get a bit more damage, but they just can't connect. Waz gets stunned up and away from Prophecy, and they can't close the game out on that sap trinket. Waz is still trying to build momentum. Vendetta is available, but Waz is stuck in midfield, and this is what I was saying earlier. Where is he going to go? Defense or offense? He's got this tough decision where his teammates are behind him, and he doesn't want to overextend without them. So they're going to move together as a team, cross center field, go for a kidney shot, pre-evasion and incoming stun from Asgarath, and try and net the kill. 6 seconds away from dispersion, 5 seconds away. Nature Swiftness comes out from Asgarath. Now he's caught into a Dragon's Breath. Tessia goes for Ring of Frost. Asgarath gets pulled away from it. Now Waz is stunned up. Chaz Ironbarks the stun. It is constant back and forth between these titans of Europe.
Yeah, nice vanish there by Waz, trying to avoid the shackles of malediction coming in from Maro. That's here right now, using his own shackles on Frosty. Gets polymorphed on that really, really quickly with an interrupt there on Chaz. Nice defense there by Maro, keeping Frosty alive. But 3 minutes elapsed into the game. A significant mana lead here has developed for the side of Method. So the assassination rogue and kind of the healing reduction it brings with its poisons and Shiv starting to add up in terms of just raw pressure, but big damage on Waz. He's going to shrug that off with a feint, and a big heal coming in from Chaz as well. That was his nature swiftness. And it looks like Method should be able to survive this push, but a full polymorph lands. Chaz might have to trade out his trinket. A bit of a mistake there. Now a psychic core on Waz, forcing him to go after Asgarath. A bit of a defensive posture, just trying to get out of line of sight and avoid some damage, as Method EU has decided to retreat.
Yep, no, Waz charging back out in midfield as soon as Asgarath threatens to go for the drink there. Initial on Prophecy, they get the Iron Bark here from Asgarath, comboed with the Thorns. Waz just hitting into it right now. Fleshcraft now by Prophecy as well. As getting counterspelled here. See if they can do something with that. Doesn't look like it. Maru is going to get sheeped here actually. Drop down the Ring of Fire kind of defensively here, but doesn't get too much down with it. And now Asgarath is setting up for a drink. Dragon's Breath going to come into him, into the Ring of Frost. Prophecy pushing him for the Master Spell here, and he will find it there. Maro, or Tessia rather, wasn't able to land that counterspell there. And it will be Prophecy now. That will be the target for Method. Rides with an early Iron Bark here actually by Chaz. Maro's going to have his combustion now with no Iron Bark. So Maro definitely packing a big punch here if he needs to. Prophecy again in the kidney shot. mana in favor of Method here, and that could be their win condition. Maybe just tunnel the Shadow Priest and just try to do as much split pressure as possible. Make sure Tessia is shutting down the drinks and try to win a long game on mana. The big thing about the Assassination Rogue, of course, in this matchup compared to the Shadow Priest is that you bring those that wound poison, you bring those healing reductions, especially if you're running that Shiv as well. You just have a lot of ways to reduce healing, and at some point in dampening, you can basically make target just unhealable, and that could be a way for Method to win this one. Just play out a slow, longer game. Make sure Chaz always has mana, and try to just win with pressure.
Yeah, it seems to be the name of the game here for Method EU. Just attack, all-out damage, run Asgrath out of mana. Asgrath is running laps around Chaz at the moment to avoid him and try and find a drink, but Chaz just keeps chasing him, and he's not giving him any room to breathe. As both druids are crowd-controlled here, a Master Spell comes through, removing the Cyclone of Asgarath, as he is going to be able to connect a lot of heals. Morrow now into a Cyclone. Boz is trying to connect through the Ursul's Vortex. Goes for a pre-Fleshcraft, anticipating Asgarath's Wild Charge there, trying to immune an incoming bash. So clutch read by Waz, but Asgarath was patient. He held on to the bash. Waz is now getting blasted. Chaz tries to recover. They drop a smoke bomb. They edge it. Beautiful edge smoke bomb from Waz as Prophecy's trying to get out of it towards the side. Is he going to survive? Cenarian Ward, he might just go down. Greater Fate on 10%. Iron Bark as well. Chaz jumps in aggressively for a bash. He grips him away from the Ring of Frost, but they follow it with Cyclone. Instant Master Spell from Prophecy. He's running out of cooldowns here as his Iron Bark is about to fade. 10 seconds away from Dispersion. Asgrath is on the run, trying to reposition, but the damage is still going up higher and higher from Method EU. Can they close it out? A massive swing, and they managed to do it. 1%. Dispersion comes off cooldown right when Tessia pulls the trigger on Combustion. Maybe it won't matter. Prophecy is still taking a lot of damage at this point. Method EU are really taking it to them, but now Tessia with no Ice Block is on the back foot. Suddenly things are spiraling out of control. Tessia trying to get back to the pillar, waiting for Chaz to assist as Chaz uses his medallion to break crowd control and recover. Now Waz on the back foot, and that was their moment for victory. Now 28 seconds to the next Vendetta for Waz to try and close it out.
This is unbelievable, and they might just reverse it here onto Tessia. He used his Ice Block aggressively to try to close out the game, and if Frosty lives at 1% health, if Tessia ends up going down as a result, I mean, that is going to be incredibly frustrating for the side of Method EU, but still have a bit to go. Tessia retreats behind the pillar, doesn't want to be taking too much of that wizard damage. They make a swap over on the Waz, but with Koga Shadows, he looks like he's going to be okay. They do have the Vendetta. He decides to just rip it. There's no defense for Frosty whatsoever. Asgrath has a huge heal. He trades up the Nature Swiftness. Perfectly what he should have done. That's exactly what he needed to do. Before Frosty gets too dangerous, before the CC lands, just top him off. And now they've bought the time that they need. Still Trinket Iron Bark. They still got the Dispersion, the Greater Fade rotating back up. And it's Tessia! He actually might just get dropped! He's 5% behind the pillar. He's burning down. He's gonna get popped.
It's behind the pillar.
They can't kill
It's
him.
behind the pillar.
He's fine.
Morrow's there.
The bald egg, Morrow!
Drops it at the nick of time. Unbelievable. Skill cap with the reverse. I mean, Method EU, they were so close. The offensive Ice Block ends up backfiring in an unbelievable turn of events.
I mean, you can't even blame Tessia for that Ice Block.
Not at all.
If he just crit, like, well, I guess he had Combustion open, but you know, if he just got a little bit, tiniest little bit more damage, if Waz got one more crit, that would have been their game. And you know, sometimes that happens when you offensively Ice Block. Unfortunately for Method, they weren't able to get the kill. Tessia going down, and to make it even sadder, Tessia, his seed had like 1 or 2 seconds left before Morrow came and boiled it with his Combustion. And we're gonna see. I think this was this was after the Dispersion and that super close call onto Prophecy here. This was towards the later stages. They get the fear onto Waz. They get some damage here onto Tessia, and this is Tessia still has his Cauterize, but he dies through it, I believe. And so they get the sheep on Chaz. They get a stun onto Tessia. He's no way out. Combustion is there. They trigger it, and then Tessia is just standing here behind the pillar. He procs. He becomes a seed, and then look at Morrow. Just sneaking in here.
Bounce.
And then he's shifting powers here, and then resets his Fire Blast, and that's what kills it. And the second he kills him, Chaz is there as well to potentially heal the seed. But definitely a close matchup, and I think this is just what we're going to see from both sides, I feel like.
Yeah.
So another game 5? You think?
It's hard to say. It could be a 3-0, 3-1, 3-2. I mean, the games are going to be close. There's no doubt about this. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Even if it is a 3-0, I think every game is going to be a nail-biter like we just saw.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at the stats for the last game that these two teams played against each other was in the circuit, and it was skill capped, and that one was a bit of a blowout. It was 3-0 in favor of skill capped. So I don't know I think you guys are right. I don't think we're going to see another 3-0 from skill capped, because Method EU, they're going to come back super strong for game number 2. Soup Teas, what's their move going forward?
Seems like they really want to utilize this Rogue Mage Druid. But I'm not sure how well it will do into other things as well, right? Like there's Warrior Mage potentially as well with Blizzo. That would be difficult for Rogue Mage Druid. So I'm not confident in this being the comp that they can play the entire series. Maybe we see them get desperate at some point. I think theoretically Shadow Priest Rogue Shaman would be a good option for them, and they have that with Chaz on Shaman, Waz Rogue, Zuniaki Shadow Priest. I would maybe like to see that once in this series. It might be now, maybe this game, to lock it in on a small map and try and run the Druid out of mana, bait them into a Shadow Priest Mage lock-in, and to get a win that way. But at the end of the day, like, what are going to be some of their better options? Like, I almost think they're going to be forced into a mirror by the end of the series if they want to win.
What do you? Who wins if we see a mirror then, Soup Teas?
Skill capped. I can't go against my prediction. I think skill capped is still going to take it, but that's probably their best chance, right? Like, I can't see anything else working for them. It doesn't seem like, at least in Europe, that Windwalker Mage has really picked up any speed. Like almost none of the teams pretty much play it anymore. It seems like only Drake in North America is still running the Windwalker Mage. I was thinking maybe that into the Shadow Priest. It's still kind of tough because as a Windwalker you can get isolated just like a rogue, but I don't know, it's going to be really tough for Method. They're going to have to think this through, having now lost the blind pick. At least if they had been able to win the blind pick, like that one moment where Frosty almost died, then they could have kind of like tried to counter comp and counter map pick the whole series. But now that they've lost it, they're going to have to win a blind pick. And we got the stats here with a game record of 32-14. Skill capped are 8-3 versus Method EU this expansion. So this is not too favored to Method EU here. So if you're betting, I think that you're putting your odds in skill capped's favor, and based off that first game performance, I think it's still a safe bet. Like Frosty had some really insane plays to peel for himself. I like these kind of moments where he silences the healer and then fears the rogue when they run out of cooldowns. That was like a very clutch use of crowd control defensively. So, and those are abilities you normally want to use aggressively, but he was able to switch gears and then use them to survive when he needed to, which was really clutch.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you look at the stats as well, because we say time and time again just how even these two teams are, how we're always seeing them in the finals. But when you look at the numbers for that Zico, skill cap statistically, at least on paper, is I don't want to say better, but winning more games. And I guess if I like would have had to guess without trying to like really reach in the back of my mind and remember how many games skill cap has won, I wouldn't have guessed those numbers.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's the thing. These two teams, they kind of just have seasons, I feel like. And right now, It has been skill capped season a little bit lately, where they have been kind of pulling ahead in the race between them. But there's also, the method seasons where they're just winning every single time. So I think if you go far enough back, you're going to find out that the scoreline is always like this. It's pretty 50-50, if you have a large enough sample size. So definitely not too surprising. But you are right. The skill cap have been kind of the team that has been winning more often than not lately. So for them, they're going to lock in the same matchup and they're going to try to do it again here.
Yeah, that would be a cool number to have, all of the total amount of games for these two teams that they've ever played against each other. But looks like we are getting game number 2 started. We are going at Asha mains as well. Skill capped, if they win this second one, that is going to put themselves in a very good position. It's best of 5, so they would be on match point, Soup Teas.
Yeah, I mean, they've 3-0'd Method EU in the past, so it's definitely a possibility. Method EU seem to be all in on this Rogue Mage Druid. they're really the only team right now in competitive play that play this, but it also speaks to maybe a lack of confidence because skill capped could be mirrored with Shadow Priest Mage, but Method U are refusing to do it. Let's see if they can overcome the odds here on Ashamane's Fall. They selected a really large map that's also a bit strange to me on the Rogue Mage Druid side, but maybe not at the same time if they want to just attack Shadow Priest and drink and maintain mana and play for a late game win that way. But it's going to be pretty tough here. And I like what Asgarath has done here. He's adapted his talents. He's actually choosing to run Flourish. I think against an Assassination Rogue, this is a really good move because it extends the duration of your Cenarian Ward. And basically, you can guarantee that that target with a Cenarian Ward extended is not going to die. And what's Waz going to do? Switch targets off of his Vendetta? He's really not going to. So Asgarath, with that talent change, means he's going to be doing a lot more single target burst healing. And he's going to be able to manage his mana a lot better as well.
Interesting. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that pays off for him. Something we don't see too often here. About a minute into the match, Waz trying to stick to a target, Morrow getting aggressive. And one key thing that's changed in this matchup is actually Kleptomania being removed from mages. So not having the Kleptomania means both these mages get a little bit more value out of their combustion if it's not being dispelled off. Frosty now in a kidney shot. And let's see, Thessia deciding to use his combustion right now, getting damage out on 2 targets. But unfortunately, not able to find the pressure he needs on Frosty. Now Morrow's going to be using his combustion, forcing Tessia back to the pillar as he retreats. But I would definitely say Method EU got the better end of that exchange. However, it was Chaz that traded out his trinket. So there's no Gladiator's Medallion. The next CC break coming in from, or the next CC coming in from Skill Cap, there's going to be no break from Chaz. And that's where Skill Cap can try to make a move, potentially get the Cauterize, potentially get the Ice Block if Tessia's not careful.
Yeah, and we're going to see Tessia. Oh, almost going down there for a second. He's going to take a big chunk of damage. Now, finally, Smoke Bomb coming out here onto Prophecy, but doesn't actually net them anything right there. And Waz going to be retreating back. And the map, I feel like the map can definitely backfire here for the Assassination Rogue. I think the Assassination Rogue, they want to build up a win condition where they go for that late game kind of pressure kill where the damage is just too unhealable. But I feel like it's a risky gamble because it's a large map as well where Waz kind of has to leave the pillar and make it to his target, right? So could be tricky if he doesn't get any restelves. Gonna see how that part plays out because we actually never hit that part because both teams were playing so aggressively in that last game. Now we are gonna see here, Prophecy still just gonna be the target, and he's kind of happy to just soak up the damage here in midfield. He's just trying to position far away from Chaz. So if Chaz wants to dispel Waz, if he wants to do anything, he has to run out in the open field where Morrow has a chance to do something to him. Dragon's Breath, Sheep, etc. Tessia gonna activate the Triune and blink back to the pillar here, but Morrow's doing good damage here just with the combustion. Morrow's just kind of throwing caution to the wind here, not going for any, like, big setups with his combustion. He's just going for raw pressure, and it nets them a Cloak of Shadows. It burns a lot of Chaz's mana. They continue the chain here with a bash. Prophecy now taking some damage because Tessia decided, okay, maybe I should actually just send the combustion as well here. I'm getting a lot of fireballs since I'm just standing here at the pillar. So both mages kind of copying each other's playstyles here. And Chaz definitely feeling the heat, though. His mana is not doing too well compared to Asgarath. And Asgarath actually sitting down for a drink right there. But he will come back to deflect some of that kidney shot pressure.
Okay, let's see if they can manage to navigate this game here. It's going to be tough for Waz with no Cloak of Shadows, his main way to avoid magic damage, which is pretty much the entirety of Skill Cap's lineup here. And he's actually stuck on the corner with a Ring of Frost. Shadow steps out of it, getting back onto Frosty, trying to get pressure out despite having limited defense. Tessia moving back with his healer Chaz. They stun up Waz, they silence Chaz, they're going for the win here. Waz trinkets, he needs to avoid the fight. He shadow melts the shackle, but his teammates are still crowd controlled. He stuns Morrow, he stalls the fight, line of sights with Chaz, and manages to recover, but it cost his medallion. Now he won't have that later on, but he has blind and he's got Vendetta, so where is he going to choose to go with this? I can imagine he wants to utilize it here onto Prophecy, but Flourish is going to be such a great counter. They actually use blind defensively onto the mage, preventing the combustion pressure here into a polymorph. And you can tell Method EU, their strategy is to just D-up, just total defense, and really post up and try and win the late game utilizing their blind onto the mage. But I don't know if it's going to work. They're actually the ones behind on mana and constantly just dying.
Yeah. I mean, so far it's not looking super great for them. Asgarath right now going in for some crowd control. Let's see if he can find it. onto Chaz, as both these druids are on the same pillar. Actually, they're not. So I think Chaz may have relocated. Actually going for a drink. So this is massive. If Method EU can sneak away, get a drink, recover their mana. At the same time, Frosty could potentially go down. So this is basically a 2-for-1 for Method. Chaz is getting to reset his mana. They have all the pressure and the momentum. Definitely not what you want if you are skill capped, as we have just entered dampening. Waz once again, he's got basically a lot of his defenses up right now, so he's got the Cloak of Shadows, he's rolling with the Vendetta, but he needs to be very careful. He's caught in the middle of the map with no trinket. Chaz is there for a Dispel, and Waz is forced to use the Cloak of Shadows. And now, at this point, Waz really can't afford to play aggressive. He gets caught in anything, he's going to go down. He's got no Cloak, no Vanish, no Trinket. Chaz has no Trinket, so I would expect Method EU to play very defensive for at least 40 seconds at this point.
Yep, and sometimes offense is the best defense, though. Rat's going for the kidney shot, but decides against it there, going back to the pillar here with Chaz. And they are just going to be stalling out, waiting for some of those cooldowns, wait for that trinket to come back up to Waz with Shadows potentially as well. Waz now going to be trying to make his way back to Prophecy. Shadow Step kick, and he is not going to commit too much with this. Actually, they have a sheep on Morrow in a pretty good spot here, but Morrow does get dispelled. Ascraft now pushing in into a bash, into a cyclone, but Waz, he does not want to play aggressive right now. He realizes he is in big danger. Full silence onto Chaz. Defensive smoke bomb coming out here. Morrow with combustion axe.
That's it, I think.
Stand. Full cyclone onto Chaz. I think that's it. Waz, he vanishes, but he gets Dragon's Breath on his vanish. Morrow hits the counter spell onto Tessia. Waz trying to stay alive for just one more second, but he's not going to be able to do it. Chaz sits through the crowd control chain, and Skill Cap are one game away here from advancing to the grand finals.
You could just see it in the cams, man. Like, Morrow's just like, yeah, we got this. And then Waz is just like, we got to figure this out. Like, you can just tell there's a large difference right now. I don't think Rogue Mage Druid's going to work for them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that game looked pretty one-sided. Although, to be fair, when Waz went down, I mean, he literally got CC'd on his Nature Swiftness. So if you look at, we're going to see in the replay, Chaz had everything. He had Overgrowth, he had Iron Bar, he had Nature Swiftness. I mean, maybe that's what Waz was frustrated about is, trade up the cooldowns a little bit faster and they can extend the game. But definitely a rough spot to be in. Skill Capped appeared to be in the driver's seat for most of it. The thing is, I don't know if these large maps are gonna work out. I feel like the large maps play in favor of Skill Capped. And yeah, I don't know. At this point, Method might have to go into the mirror matches. They could just have full faith in their Rogue Mage and go for it, but they're one away from being eliminated in third.
Yeah, that would be a really frustrating way to end things. They had that really close series against Reload, and now they are, like Ven said, only one loss away from getting knocked out of this tournament, and Skill Capped closer and closer to moving on to the grand finals. We can see that replay right here.
Yeah, so here, Waz, he doesn't want to actually play aggressive. He just wants to kidney shot Prophecy, slow him down, and buy his team time, to maybe get a Cyclone, push back to the pillar here, go for a re-stealth. He's just line of sighting Morrow, but then here, Tessia's like, I can sheep Morrow over here. So Morrow is going to try to go to the right side to keep Waz, and Tessia blinks, or Morrow blinks in, Tessia sheeps him, and here Waz kicks Prophecy, and he's already retreating, but since Morrow is in crowd control, he kind of gets a little bit baited to continue going here. Morrow, of course, Shaz, gets the crowd control onto Ascraft, but now Waz is kind of stuck here in midfield, and they're pushing in for the game-winning crowd control. Instant smoke bomb here on the CC chain, and look at Chaz here. He's just stuck in CC forever. He can't do anything here. He has cooldowns to work with, but he just gets, he got bashed there. Tried to NS heal him out of the Cyclone, but wasn't able to actually get it off there. He got bashed on it, and he just, couldn't have done anything there.
That wasn't Chaz's fault at all. I mean, when he got silenced, Waz was 90% health, so there's no way he could have known he was in trouble. So, yeah, just a great setup there by Skill Cap.
Well, Chaz is kind of the one who started the offensive push there. I think that's what the issue was. Yeah, he ran up and bashed Ascarath into a Cyclone, and then his Cyclone got emptied, and then they silenced him and started the chain, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. I think as a team, they just needed to be defensive there.
Well, They've got one more shot here. We are going to be headed to Tigers Peak. Method EU, a minute left to choose what exactly they want to play for potentially their very last game of the entire season. The decision they make right now is absolutely crucial, and I can't imagine the nerves that are going on behind the scenes right now, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really difficult spot to be in as a competitor. Obviously, you've worked all year to get to this moment, and now you find yourself against what I would say is probably the hardest team Method has ever faced. So really, really difficult for them. They're down 0-2. They have to win 3 in a row against Skill Capped if they want to have a chance to make it into the finals. So lots on the line, lots to talk about. But at this point, you kind of just have to, do your best. Forget the rest, do your best. Little mistakes here and there in game number 1 and game number 2, but you kind of just got to shrug it off, put full faith in your team, and just go for it. I mean, at this point, it really comes down to using the power of teamwork and friendship to overcome your opponents, and they are going to be switching it up. Waz is actually going to be going sub. Was he assassination in the previous two games?
He has been assassin.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so he switched. This is a big change. They're going to switch it up, try to go for a little bit more control and single target burst. But you lose a lot of overall pressure with the subtlety rogue. So definitely a trade-off. I don't know if it's the correct trade-off, but you can't blame them at this point for trying to mix it up and try something new. Skill Capped, I feel like, is probably not going to be too sad about this lock-in. Probably still feeling pretty confident in this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got to be. It's their last chance. So it's got to be a really tough decision to make when you're in a position like this. You're in the grand finals tournament. You're one loss away from being knocked out, and it's like, what do you do? Do you keep trying the same thing that you've tried the last 2 games that didn't quite work out, but maybe you can make it work this next one, or do you try and switch things up? And looks like that is what they're going to do. So I would say, hopefully they're confident in that decision. How do you like it, Subtis?
I think in this specific matchup, subtlety has got to be better. You get more mobility. It just synergizes better with the composition. What I think they're worried about is that they can't blind lock it. I think Skill Cap will probably pull out a warrior if this even ends up being a problem, which it might not even be. But I could see just Waz is going to have way more control of the game. And he's going to be able to be a playmaker more on subtlety. Whereas assassination is much more just trucking out damage, playing the mana bar. This is playing more to Waz's strengths in my mind, I think, or as their whole team. They like to set up, do the goes 3-2-1 perfect setups. That's how I'm seeing Method EU's strengths play out so far this season. So subtlety, I think, will play more so into that. But for the entire series, I don't know if it's something that they can rely on. But they're pulling out all the stops. This is their last ditch effort to take a game off of Skill Capped. Otherwise, they're going to be going home in 3rd.
Yeah, that would, I know we've said it so many times before, but that would be weird to see Skill Capped or Method EU in that 3rd place position. So to see Method there would definitely be very different for this region here on the side of Skill Cap. We can look at Skill Cap's stats as well. And, we did look at Tessia's stats earlier on, and this is something that I was going to mention that I forgot, that Tessia actually has one of the highest interrupt rates in the entire region. I don't know if we have time to show him just one more time, but that's super impressive. I mean, this guy is definitely a very, very valuable member of this team, Ben, as a mage.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Tessia has been really, really solid as a pickup for Method, playing basically only the Fire Mage, actually exclusively playing the Fire Mage and nothing else, but it's worked really well, being able to play with Zuniaki and Waz. It seems like they have good synergy together, and I think he's been a great replacement on the roster, obviously proving that he's got what it takes. Before this season, before he actually got picked up by Method, Tessia was just a name that I heard from Zico every once in a while, so I didn't really know too much about him, but I think he's been in the European scene for quite some time.
Yeah, maybe I should have thrown that one over to Zico so you could hype him up a little bit. But I mean, you could tell that he's a newer pickup because all of the pictures that we're using for those little player stats are, back when we did have lands, and he has yet to be able to play with these guys in that kind of a situation. So I don't know what he looks like. At least maybe some people do. But anyways, game number 3 starting off here. Hopefully it's not the last one of the day here for Method EU. If you're a fan of Method, definitely show your hype in the chat for these guys because they could be going home.
If you're a fan, you're pretty stressed right now for Method EU. They got to win 3 in a row against Skill Capped, and this has been getting dominated throughout this series. And They're pulling out Subtlety Rogue. Like, really? I mean, if I was a fan of Method E right now, man, this is going to be really dicey. They're setting up crowd control on the whole team. Sap out a kidney shot. That could be a main path for Method EU to find victory here, as they get a long extended chain on Asgarath. But they don't even dent Frosty. They just get his Vampiric Embrace. That's it? That's all you're going to get for a kidney sap? That's not a good position. They're both on the back foot. Chaz tries to get a Tranquility, but he's Dragon's Breath on it. And Chaz has already used his medallion to escape crowd control. His whole team is dying. Asgarath is just BM bear form on top of him, thrashing them at this point. Caught in a kidney shot. Waz, can you land a sap off of this kidney shot as well? I think he wants to. He's standing next to him. He gets a sap out of the kidney. Swapping over to Morrow. Try and blast him down. Morrow defensively Dragon's Breaths. Waz gets dispelled. He gets right back on target. Love this crowd control chain. This is the type of pressure you want to see from Method EU on match point. And they net a cauterize.
Yeah, that was a great push. And now Morrow's not going to be feeling nearly as confident or have the capability to really be so greedy with his Ice Block. So losing that cauterize is massive, but at the same time, Asgarath did hold on to his Iron Bark as well as his Trinket. So I still think there's a considerable amount of defense here for Skill Cap, and they're not going to be too afraid at this point. But it seems like going after Morrow has got some good pressure here for Method. So bit of a strategy change. And I mean, you called it out at the beginning. They got the full kidney shot into the full sap, and Frosty health didn't even move. Besides the Vampiric Embrace, they got 0 cooldowns. So mixing it up has at least netted them something here. And maybe going forward, they need to just go after Morrow, try to keep him in stuns, get off those shields, and burst them down as fast as they can. So that might be what we see from Method EU.
Yeah, let's see if they can pull that off. Right now, they did get themselves a nice big cooldown with that cauterize, but now they need to push for the Ice Block here. And they get it is the question. The setup doesn't look like they can net themselves anything. Asgarath able to avoid it. And now it's down onto Waz here. Big pressure. There's a silence with the Shaz. Nicely done there, but no panic coming out there by Waz. He's going to hold on to his Trinket. They would have loved to get that Trinket combined with that Cloak of Shadows, because then they can kill him even if he has Cloak of Shadows in a long stun lock. But Waz able to get away with that greed. And now looks to a counterattack here. Double Dragon's Breath by Morrow. Morrow anticipating that damage here. Beautiful alter time. He's got the Iron Bark as well. So Morrow and Tessia, they're just going to hold their cooldowns here. Tessia's going to shifting power, which will reset his Dragon's Breath and his Blink. So he's going to blink Dragon's Breath now instead when that Iron Bark has faded. And a nice counter spell there on the Master Spell. But Chaz needs to do something about these Shadowmans. That's finally Cyclones in, but the damage is already done. I feel like that was a big mistake actually there by Chaz. He should have just interrupted him. If he didn't get those, that would have been the Ice Block. Tessia played that setup so beautifully there. But a rare misplay there, I would say. Maybe he was hesitating because it was DR'd, but that was definitely a nice setup, beautiful opportunity, and Method are not going to be too happy about the fact that they didn't actually get a single cooldown from that.
They're trying to go for a setup on Frosty here. The stab on Asgarath, but Frosty is just taking no damage. The kill has got to be on Morrow, at least prior to dampening. Maybe deeper in dampening when the Shadow Priest healing is lower, that's an option. But in the meantime, Waz needs to be careful. He's the main target. Popping a feint, reducing damage, and he's on the run. Line of sighting along with Tessia while Chaz sits through a fear. Asgarath jumps across midfield, gets caught in a kidney shot. Waz is good and actually swapping to Asgarath. I love this swap from Method EU. Mixing it up against a Resto Druid is very important if you want to net a kill. If Asgarath ever jumps in the middle of the map like that again, he is going to regret it. Waz will have Shadowy Duel. He's got Shadow Blades. I'd love to see that set up. Asgarath knows that he's probably going to be a target again if he plays like that, so he's going to Fleshcraft, maximize its effectiveness in bear form before getting back into the fight. Tessia is getting blasted. He blinks back to the pillar. Waz is all alone up here, but he goes for a blind. He's baiting Trinket. He got Trinket from Asgarath. I think Asgarath is about to... Why did he Shadow... Is that why Asgarath Trinketed? Because he saw Shadow Blades? I feel like if Waz is running the Omega one-shot Subtlety Rogue build here with Duel, he's got Echoing Reprimand. If he gets a bit of combustion damage maybe tagged in there, no Trinket Resto Druid, I feel like that's got to be the play at this point.
Yeah, I think Asgarath as a target, like you said, if you can mix it up against a Restoration Druid, catch them off guard where they don't have those heal over time effects, then that's when you're going to be able to capitalize, especially when you're playing a burst-oriented composition with a sub-rogue going after Frosty. They get the dispersion, mixing it up once again. The heal over time effects just aren't there, and as a result, they get a major defensive cooldown from Frosty, and he's playing Relentless. Keep that in mind. So he does not have the Trinket in order to get the greater fade off. which means he can get bursted down relatively quick. So one crowd control chain on Asgarath. There's no blind available, but Tessia and Chaz can push forward, get this DC, a kidney shot of Frosty with combustion. Method EU, they have a golden ticket to potentially win this game.
Yeah, and let's see if they can cash in that ticket. Double Ring of Frost coming out here from Morrow, trying to get something going here with this combustion, but doesn't look like he will be able to. Full cycle now onto Morrow. Frosty gonna be a juicy target here for the next 50 seconds or so. No dispersion available. Dragon's Breath comes in. There's the Ring of Frost. Here's the damage. They could just close it out right here. Frosty uses his every man for himself right there to break it up with the Greater Fade. But that was a nice victory here for Method once again, getting that 3-minute cooldown there. Unfortunately, Waz doesn't have a smoke bump with his build. Otherwise, he could punish that because typically you save that cooldown because it lines up with smoke bump. But Frosty won't need to worry about that. Now Chaz pushing in for the crowd control. Kidney shot on the Frosty. Let's see, do they have the damage? Morrow gets cheap shotted. There's a shackle. Nice pressure coming out here from Method. Do they have anything more? You get the full
8 seconds
here, but they grip him into the Ring of Fire there and break him out. Frosty with the get out of jail, well, get out of sheet free card, and it looks like Skill Cap will hold on.
I mean, Frosty is just playing such a solid series so far today in terms of flipping between defense and offense. He's looking untouchable. Maybe I'm going to regret saying that, but he's got a lot of cooldowns available right now. Mana is even. I mean, right there, it might have been dispersion if he didn't have the heads-up play of gripping in a Ring of Fire. Now they're blasting back. Tessia's trying to recover with Iron Bark. Waz moves in with a blind onto Asgarath. Is Asgarath going to use Trinket here? Frosty fades. They sap the blind. It's going to be a long crowd control chain on Asgarath here that he is choosing to sit through. Will he end up regretting it? Frosty holds on. Asgarath dodges. Going into bear form on the polymorphs and avoids the crowd control and sitting through blind sap. That's not a good position for Method EU to be in right now. On match point, mana is even, no blind. Asgarath charges into Waz. Waz pre-evasions Bash, but didn't fall for it. Asgarath still holds on to Bash, but now he's in a kidney shot. Can Waz get a sap on the kidney shot? He gets stunned. Beautiful stun by Frosty. Stops the sap of Waz. Asgarath keeps in combat and still has Bash. He could get Trinket from Waz, maybe go after Chaz with it. Chaz goes for Bash, but it's on DR. Now he's going to get disoriented. Asgarath's on the run. He Iron Barks Frosty during the combustion. Fair trade. Waz is falling behind. On match point, he can't afford any slip-ups. Morrow gets blasted out of nowhere. He's down to 10%. Asgarath is trying to recover with Innervate, but Waz is pushing in for the win. He's cutting through the Iron Bark. Morrow has to blink back defensively again, but Waz is pulled into a bad position. Waz is in a terrible position. He has to Trinket. He's still critically low. Chaz doesn't have many options. Trying to Swiftman through the pain here and recover and hold on to that precious Cloak of Shadows. And this is going to be a bloody finish to game number 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so back and forth between these two teams. Method EU battling for their tournament lives. Skillcap wants to earn their place in the grand finals and a rematch against Horizon. Lots to play for here. Skillcap is just one away. Can they do it? Ring of Frost gets interrupted there by Waz. Double interrupt, actually. Now Sheep's coming in. Nicely done. Waz gets Iron Bark by Chaz on that Psychic Core. Beautiful Iron Bark. Chaz not going to make the same mistake. Does not want to let Waz go down with his cooldowns up. So he trades out the Iron Bark, a bit more than fair exchange. Here comes the Smoke Bomb. Morrow is stuck in it, but looks like there is enough time for him to get the Triune ward off, and ultimately that will keep him alive. You know, Waz and Morrow kind of going head-to-head here in the middle of the map. Frosty and Asgarath on one side, Tessia and Chaz on the other, as Asgarath tries to sneak away for a drink. Let's see. Yeah, Tessia doing a good job tracking him, keeping the Flame Strike up, and not allowing him to recover his mana, as we are at 27% dampening.
Absolutely incredible so far by both of these teams. Asgarath, though, finding himself in a kidney shot once again. He gets the pre-bear form, though, for that damage reduction, but Waz digging through it with that fire mage damage as well from Tessia here. See if they can turn it around, though, on the side of Skillcap. They get a fear onto Waz. Full Sheep being casted out here, but it gets counterspelled by Morrow. Morrow now ripping in with the combustion here once again. Morrow just trying to deal as much pressure as possible whenever he's free, but he gets crowd controlled on it here by Tessia. Very nicely done. The potential here for the Cyclones as well from Chaz. He will get a triple DR Cyclone, unfortunately, onto Morrow. Frosty in a kidney shot takes decent amount of damage. Nice grip there onto Asgarath, shutting it down. That long CC chain that could have happened, and now it's going to be Waz on the back foot. He has his Cloak of Shadows. He doesn't want to use it on too low HP, but the Battle Master is running for him. Right now, Chasto might get mind controlled here, manages to get away from it. Prophecy gets sheep, Waz still on about half HP, finally catching the Iron Bark, and it looks like Waz will survive here. And now, who is the next kidney shot going to land on? Morrow in a sheep and a cyclone, Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost onto Asgarath, and it looks like I have no idea who the target is going to be here. Morrow is all the time, Prophecy's in a cyclone, and Asgarath is already on DR, so there's no good target for them. And it looks like they are going to try to go after Asgarath now finally, but they don't have any more CC here for Etesia, for Morrow and Prophecy. So Morrow and Prophecy should be able to deflect this one. Prophecy making his way back. Asgarath had to trade out his bark skin here. So not the worst setup, but they would have liked to get at least a trinket from somebody there, as Asgarath looks to get full HP once again. He's got full mana to work with. And Chaz, though, he's sitting down drinking on the opposite side, and he definitely needs it. Method right now, one game away from being eliminated for the season. They need to try to stay alive and find the kill here, Super Tees.
Any slip-ups, this game could be over. Chaz is so far behind on mana at this point. Asgarath is just tanking up in bear form, expecting the attack. Line of sight. Tessia is just running in a straight line at Asgarath. Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost. Gets that life grip again by Prophecy. Pre-fades to avoid future crowd control. Asgarath is stunned up. Can they finish Asgarath? Can they put a point on the board against Skill Capped here? They need it, but no, a Void Shift comes in from Prophecy, exchanging his health for his own, allowing Asgarath to survive to his next round of Iron Bark and Bark Skin. And Chaz is almost completely on fumes at this point. A Cyclone at low health. Waz goes for a re-stealth in the backline, has forced to sprint in if they want to capitalize on the low health of Prophecy here. Asgarath gets Nature's Swiftness, trying to dodge Polymorph and heal Prophecy at the same time is going to be stressful as he launches out Adaptive Swarm, full hots, but dampening is quite high. He's struggling to heal Prophecy. Shadow Stun, swap over onto Asgarath. He has to Trinket. Now he won't have Trinket for Blind. Big opportunities here for Method EU to still take this, but they've got such a limited clock with Chaz so low on mana, and Waz can't afford any slip-ups. He has to trade Cloak of Shadows, and I think with Cloak of Shadows now out of the way, that he's pretty much got a hard commit, but he's going through a full Fleshcraft Resto Druid. Tessia's on the back foot. Tessia's trying to get back to his team and get aggressive. They're so desperate at this point in the match to just stay alive and fight for a chance at a rematch against Horizon in the Grand Finals.
47% dampening. Everyone has Mortal Strike on them at all times in this game. Everyone has Sharpened Blade on them at this point in the game, so healing is very stressful for these teams. They need to avoid damage and deal as much damage as possible, and that's where they can pick up a lot of momentum. Waz going to be going after Prophecy right now. Looks like Asgarath in a prime position to heal him up. See what he's going to be able to get done. Chaz, not too much mana left at this point of the game. Master Spell onto Morrow. And need to free Morrow in the game so he can get something done. Potential Ring of Frost gets interrupted. Here's a smoke bomb, immediate dispersion, but they can continue the chain. I think this is it. They're going to be able to battle it back. Frosty down to 10% health, and he is going to get dropped. What? No way, a full blind. Can Frosty actually live? Asgarath, he's got Nature's Swiftness. He just needs to get there. That beautiful silence. The bash, where is it?
The clone at low health.
Frosty's getting
NS.
Need to get it. The Polymorph. Beautiful crowd control chain coming in from Method EU, and they do it. Unbelievable from Chaz and Waz. Can't believe it. I mean, that was insane. How long? We're going to see in the replay. Asgarath was CC'd forever, and they almost lived.
What's that face?
55% dampening. No Trinket Druid. Got his shackle on the dispersion. There was one point where I thought Prophecy was going to make it. I mean, this is going to be the most intense replay I think we've really ever seen. Like, that crowd control chain was so long. Method EU, they've done it. They got a point on the board, but man, was it dirty. Like, 55% dampening, grueling late game kill, barely even finish him off. And I think this is a little bit far ahead from the point where they actually got that insane crowd control chain. So, I mean, right here, we're really worried about Method EU. Chaz is at 30% mana. Their entire team is just scrambling, trying to figure out where they want to go. What's their next move? What's their opportunity facing such a deficit of mana? They start pushing aggressive, and they just pull the trigger on the Shadow Priest. I think it's just stun, smoke bomb, shackle. Yeah, they just go stun, smoke bomb, combustion, shackle. They say, what? Dispersion? We don't care. We're killing you. And they sap Asgarath around the corner as he was coming back into the fight. And then they full blind him. So this is 8 seconds. Prophecy gets a Shadow Mend. He line of sights Waz with Frost Nova. Line of sights Tessia. Tessia's like, you're not living. Blinks on top of him, silenced. Then he's like, okay, Asgarath, you're going to heal me out of that bash, right? Right here, he gets DB'd. And I don't know, it's Askarath. Like, he could have gone travel form or something maybe, but at that point, I think he probably had no heal over time effects. Like, he would have had to NS with no Swift Mend. It was really tough for him at that point, but he still almost lived, which tells me that if they're going to blind lock Subtlety, this is going to be the hardest next 2 games they've ever played.
Oh man, what an intense game, what an intense series this has been. Method AEU really pulling it back when it counted, and they're still in this series. They're still holding strong, and they are going to live to fight another day, and we're going to see if they can continue on in this winning streak as well, or this winning pattern. We'll see what they do heading into this next game. What do you think SkillCap's best move is then to respond here as we go to the next one, Zico?
I mean, it depends what comp they lock in, but in general, I feel like Warrior is pretty good into sub rogues, so maybe it's time to bring in a Warrior if they do blind lock the sub. And also, I don't know exactly what map you would go for here, but I feel like in general, just pick something kind of neutral here out of what you got left in the pool. I think for skill cap, there's just play reactionary, and if you see a sub rogue, probably time to bring Blizzo in.
Ooh, bringing in. You want to see that, Ben?
Oh, of course I want to see that. I don't know if they'll do it, but I would love to see it. I feel like anytime you bring in Blizzo, you just know things are going to get spicy. So Method EU, they're in a difficult situation where they have to choose if they want to lock in Subtlety Rogue or the Assassination Rogue, or maybe they go with Shadow Priest Fire Mage. I want to see the mirror match, but I don't know if they're going to do it at this point. But still, they got to win back to back if they want to win this series. Not an easy spot to be in, and now SkillCap actually gets to just pick whatever they want. And they went to a big map, so I don't know what they're going to try to set up here. Likely the Shadow Priest Mage again. That seems to be the comfort pick for SkillCap, but Method EU has to make a tough decision.
Yeah, they most definitely do. Even though they won that last game, they're still facing elimination. They still have no more chances to lose any of these games. So all eyes are on these guys as they choose their composition for this map here, Imperium Domain. It could be their very last match of the season. So very, very tough very, very tough choice to make, especially when you have to blind lock your composition. I mean, do you think they're nervous or stressed at all right now, Supatees?
I mean, there's a lot to debate, right? Like, how many different answers are there going to be for Subtlety Rogue? Seems like they're going to need sub if they want to beat the Shadow Priest Mage, but if Blizzo comes in, are they confident that it can beat a Warrior? Is Zuniaki sitting there thinking like, hey, it's time for mirrors, get me in there or something? Because we've yet to see Zuniaki play in this series, so there's a lot to debate here. And they're running the clock to the absolute limit, right? Like they want to make sure that they're making the best decision they can given their current ability and current circumstances. And where would I sit if I was them? I mean, they just barely won a game at 56% dampening, just barely, with the most insane crowd control you're ever going to see. Like, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell on a sub rogue right there. They're doing it. Sub rogue all the way, I guess. You got when you're down, you just got to keep investing. You got to believe in it all the way through. Blizzo time. I don't think they're going to do it. I feel like they're not going to do it.
I think they're not going to do it either. But I want it. I don't care.
I
don't care what they want. I want Blizzo to be tagged in. I want to see the Warrior Mage. Something that SkillCap kind of pioneered. Believe it or not, the Fire Mage Warrior. I mean, they were doing it before it was cool. That's true.
It's true.
The original hipsters.
Yeah.
No, it would be definitely cool to see Blizzo come out. Hopefully we see it happen. It's always a little sad when you don't really see their fourth player that often in finals such as these. But unfortunately, Ben, we are not going to see him. So now that we've got both of the compositions on the board, you did try it. How does this map go in your head, Ben?
How does this map go? I mean, Imperium Domain, it's kind of the wizard headquarters at this point. It's the newly appointed wizard headquarters.
They relocated.
So if you're a wizard, you get to create a lot of space. You get to run away. You get to drag Waz in the open. You get to overextend Chaz and Thessia, which is exactly what you want to do. And yeah, that's why they picked it. They want to just play the same match, and now they have a little bit more of a map advantage. But for both of these teams, I just want to say, if you're getting to the point where we're at 55% dampening, there's no guarantees. Like I really don't think one of these teams has a huge advantage in dampening. I think once you're there, it's just one good play will win you the game. So really, really unstable. Both of them want to try to close it out early. As like I said, once you get to the point of 50% dampening, it's the point of almost no return, and sparks are going to fly. You're going to have to start trading out your cooldowns out of sync, and that's where you get caught into a full sap or kidney, into a full sap, into a full blind, into a cyclone, and you just cannot recover in that situation.
So let me get this straight. You don't think that there's a team that's more disadvantaged the deeper we go into dampening in this situation?
Nope.
Okay, well, it's kind of good then that we are on pretty even footing at the moment, at least for this game. I don't know. I kind of hope that we go to a game 5 with this one. I really don't want to see Method EU get knocked out in this way. So I'm hoping that they can recover in this series. But has anyone changed their mind on their prediction yet for the series? I know everybody going into this was team skill cap, but has anyone crossed over? Are we all still
back up?
all
nobody?
my predictions are still living strong in both regions, so I'm pretty happy with my predictions. I think I'm just gonna let them ride out the tournament.
That's fair. Yeah. I respect it. You gotta make a prediction and stick with it.
Did all three of us have the same exact predictions in both regions?
I think I might be different for a day.
I don't remember the exact brackets, but I know that everybody was Horizon for winning, and then one of you guys was Golden Guardians, and I said I was gonna check up on that, and then
that was me.
Yeah, please check.
Sky.
I said Golden Guardians will make it to the finals, but they won't win.
No, somebody predicted Golden Guardian. I swear it was you, Sid. I'm gonna check my notes.
I did not say they'll win. I said they're making it to the finals. Well, this is an interesting epic finale map version of Empyrean Domain. Purple Domain.
Yeah, what?
Maro might be upset. You know, he's got like keyboard that matches. Now he's got to like change the chroma key to purple or something. But purple Empyrean Domain for the match point here. Skill cap versus Method EU.
Do I dare say that I like this version of the map a little more?
Same.
I like the purple. This is really cool. Anyways, Waz going to be going with a kidney shot. Looks like he potentially wants to go after Asgraf. Could be using it as crowd control or just trying to break the Fleshcraft. So the initial go, obviously not going to be committing too much. Asgraf has a shield on him with the Fleshcraft. It's about 40,000 absorb, and there's no way you're cutting through that as a sub-rogue. So you just have to be really, really careful. They get through it. Now they actually throw a full blind on Asgrath. This could easily be sapped. I think Waz is trying to get in position. Can he get it? He gets the sap onto Asgrath. Big pressure here on Frosty, but a beautiful grip. Beautiful grip there by Frosty, gripping Asgrath into the Ring of Fire. But this might backfire. Now he's stunned. Bringing Asgrath out of the crowd control, but kind of into the flames. And it looks like Method EU, they're all over the place at this point of the game, keeping Skill Cap guessing, but Skill Cap really hasn't committed anything in terms of their defensive, so all that work didn't really accomplish too much.
Yeah, and now we're going to see Method here chasing down Frosty. Was trying to get back to his target here, and he's not doing too much damage. Looks like he's just waiting for the right moment. There it is. Kidney shot now onto Asgraf. Dash onto Maro. Stun onto... Oh, they're going to go after Asgraf, actually. And they will get a Dragon's Breath here on the Maro. Continue the chain, but Maro has combustion rolling. Should have some good pressure, but he does get kicked there. So Maro not going to get anything, really. Oh, that was actually Tessia's combustion that he stole. Okay, so Maro's going to have his own combustion coming up soon. And Tessia forced into the ice cube here. Not the situation you want to be in. Where is Chaz?
He purged in this.
Chaz looks like he had to trinket there as well in the midst of all fray. But look at Asgraf. He's caught him in the stun lock into another stun here. Dragon's Breath coming up from Maro. Should buy Asgraf at least a global here to get himself off. But they really don't have anything to work with. Just the cauterize between Chaz and Tessia. They can get a big CC chain onto Chaz. They could potentially take him down, Supertees.
All right, let's see what they can get done here. Skill Cap to have a lot of options, a buffet of targets for them to just close this game out. And if you're Method EU, that is not a good thing. Chaz is going to Fleshcraft while he's counterspelled, try and maximize his globals. Asgraf gets stunned up, setting up for damage. As Waz going to get a sap out of this kidney shot. He's moving in position, needs to get a re-stealth. He gets Frost Nova, but he can't sap Asgrath. Great denial by Morrow. Now here comes Combustion on match point. Chaz clutches out a big Nature Swiftness, but the damage is still rolling forward onto Tessia. Frosty is interrupted. Tessia stalls the engagement for a moment here. He's trying to just pummel away at Frosty. Blinks in on top of Asgrath. Dragon's Breath Polymorph. Frosty in position to assist here, gripping him away, but he actually gets pulled back by Ursul's Vortex. Asgrath on the run. Waz is soloing Asgrath at the moment, but not able to finish him. And Asgrath gets away, being greedy in that position. No Medallion, no Barkskin. Waz now just setting up stuns on Frosty. Tessia, he's got Combustion available. He wants to go for it, but Morrow is just shutting him down. Counterspell, Dragon's Breath, trying to keep them at the pillar, stop Chaz from drinking. Waz is trying to figure out where he wants to go. Asgrath is so far away from Tessia. He's sitting in bear form, almost taunting Tessia, like, here, come for me behind the pillar. You're going to regret it. Waz wants to. He goes for a blind. Kidney shot onto Frosty, and they may just overwhelm the Shadow Priest. They get a Trinket and Dispersion. A mistake here by skill cap. Those are two important cooldowns that usually do not need to be used at the same time. In this situation, most certainly they did not. So now with no Dispersion and no Trinket on Asgarath, Shadow Blades, Shadow Dance, Echoing Reprimand, there's a lot of options for Method EU to stay in this game and take it.
Yeah, there certainly is. And I feel like Method EU right now, they're playing a really, really solid game. The only thing that worries me is Chaz's mana. So at some point, they're going to have to do a go where Chaz ends up just running away. But Waz right now forced to trade. Oh, man. He trades out his Trinket and the Cloak of Shadows, going after Asgrath. He gets gripped away. Waz Shadow Steps and chases him. Big damage potential here on Asgrath. But I fear they may... I guess they didn't commit too much damage. That wasn't the Shadowy Blades, but they did get the Bark Skin. So that was actually great. I mean, Waz goes after Asgrath. They get the Bark Skin. He's got no Trinket. And now there's a huge all-in potential. Frosty... he does not have his Trinket. So what they need to do is get a setup onto Asgarath, get crowd control on Frosty, and they could easily just blow him out of the water. This is what they're setting up. Polymorph on Asgarath. Here's the kidney shot. Here is all the damage. Frosty gets interrupted. Can
No
they
way.
take the damage?
No way.
No, Method does it. Perfect.
Wow.
Beautiful crowd control and burst. They set that up perfectly. This is the Method EU we know and love. That was absolutely perfect.
Woo! All right, let's all take a breather. This series has been so close so many times, and they are going to be taking us to a Game 5. Method EU and Skill Cap both facing elimination in this series, and both of them holding out strong. However, Zico, it looks like Method EU may just be recovering and getting a win.
Method EU, finally, they're getting some momentum right now in the series. In Cap, they won the first two games, but Method EU right now, they got a composition that's worked for them twice in a row, and they just need to do it one more time here. That setup in the end was absolutely beautiful. They got the Barkskin, they got the Trinket, then they sheeped Asgarath, picked the Master Spell, swapped the CC to Morrow and Frosty, dropped the Smoke Bomb on Asgarath, and sent them home. I don't even need to watch the replay to know what happened there. That was absolutely insane. And yeah, Method EU looking really deadly here. Who would have thought that the sub-rogue would be the kryptonite here for Skill Cap?
Yeah, I mean, there's still one more game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but I mean, so far, it's true. It is true.
Yeah, but I mean, look at how this series went the last time these two teams played. Skill Cap won 3-0. I mean, Method EU, regardless of how this one ends, this is still a tremendous difference from the last time we saw these two teams face off, Sid.
Yeah, certainly. The one thing that I like about the Subtlety Rogue is that it's just playing into the strengths of Method EU. Just these massive burst setup windows, finding your opportunities, trying to be a playmaker. That's the one thing that I like about it. But other than that, I think there's a reason why we literally see nobody else playing the Subtlety Rogue in tournament format. So it's definitely playing into their strengths. I'm glad that they found this as an option for them to be able to find victory. I mean, they won this game so much earlier than we've seen them win almost any other game. I feel like almost all the games we've watched today have been going into very deep dampening. So I really like what they did. I love that they swapped targets constantly. They were going after Asgarath part of the game, Frosty other parts of the game, and I really liked how they just switched it up. And right here, you're thinking there's no way Asgarath dies. He gets kidney shot, he bark skins, and he's going to be able to survive. He then bashes up Tessia and repositions, but with no Trinket and no bark skin, he's definitely a very susceptible target, but he's thinking his team is in a confident position to win, right? There's no cloak on the rogue here. Waz goes for a defensive shadowy duel. I think maybe Asgrath gets caught, and that's where the big mistake happens.
there it
If you're
is.
polymorphed in as a healer
Right
in the middle
there.
of the map against Rogue Mage, you're dead. You're just immediately stun locked out of it, and you are going to get KO'd. So definitely Asgrath getting caught there in this game particularly, and that was just a nice play by Tessia to be able to fish for that, right? Like normally as a mage, facing a really good druid, right? Like Asgrath, you might not even bother trying to get a polymorph, just a random cast, because he's going to shift it. I'm wasting my time. But he managed to get that. He's thinking like, oh, Asgrath is pressured. I'm going to cast a polymorph and catch him. And if you do that on a healer in the middle of the map, they're dead. Like no trinket, no personal defensive. You're polyed for 8 seconds. That's 8 seconds for the other team to just get right on top of you and pounce. So that was nice by Tessia.
I mean, it was really nice, but I think the big mistake that game was just the bark skin. It was so not needed. I mean, Waz didn't commit any damage. Tessia didn't commit any damage. And in fact, he actually had a shield too. He had his fleshcraft up, so he immediately snapped bark skin. I think that was a bit of a panic, and is what allowed Method to actually get that set up.
Okay, well, all of that is behind us. We're gonna put it aside because we are going to game 5. We have a fresh start. We could potentially be seeing Method EU reverse sweeping skill cap, which would be absolutely insane for these guys.
Dalaran.
Look at them. What was that?
Dalaran. Are they going to do Warrior Shadow Priest?
That's what I
What do you
think.
think?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Didn't Method
Think
EU
it's
just
time
beat?
for some
Didn't
Blizzard?
Method EU just beat Reload though? I don't know. I'm sold on this.
Play Warrior Mage.
Yeah,
On Dalaran?
Why not?
I guess.
Are you
They
questioning?
normally go
skill
Blades
capped?
when they do Warrior Mage. I think they're talking about it. I mean, they're obviously talking about it with the countdown still going. But skill capped aren't comfortable, I think, off that last game. Although it just seemed like a little bit of a misstep. Like just keep it clean and calm, and I think they would have still been able to manage to pull that off. They were winning on mana, but going to Dalaran makes me think there's no way they're doing Shadow Priest Mage. I feel like they're going to lose if they do Shadow Priest Mage on Dalaran.
Yeah, I don't think they should play Shadow Priest Mage at all. But they might. I mean, they feel they might not be confident anymore, but in the past they've been very confident in the matchup. But I think you bring in Blizzo 100%. He's fresh. He's ready to go. Nope. All right.
What?
Small map.
This is either the biggest
whoop.
throw ever or the most like 300 IQ, and they just randomly win in 10 seconds. Like, there's no in between. This is either going to be like
No in between.
the worst
A
loss
disaster
ever
or
or the
brilliant.
greatest. Yeah.
All right. Well, all of our predictions are on the line. I mean, if
Yeah.
Method ends up coming back with a reverse
Skill
sweep
cap. What are
here-
you doing, man? Like, just trying to make us wrong? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I won't say I'm happy to be wrong, but hey, if Method comes back from a reverse sweep, I mean, good job to them. I mean,
Yeah.
the games have not been easy. That last game was beautifully done, and I feel like they've thrown skill cap for a loop. The way they're doing their crowd control, the way they're all over the map. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from a rogue mage. A rogue mage druid, a rogue mage priest. You want to see them not just doing the same thing over and over. Every setup is unique, every setup is different, and that's how you create opportunities, and that's exactly what they did in that last game. The small map, I think, I mean, it just seems like skill cap is having a really difficult time actually getting to their target. So even when they have good pressure on Tessia, it's easy for him to just cross the map. Then if they want to chase him, Waz is just there being an annoying rogue, stunning everybody. So it might not be the case where these wizards actually want a large map. They might actually just want a small map so they can dogpile CC and they can chase down Tessia when he's actually in danger. So I think that's kind of the thought process here, is they're realizing, hey, we're living a long time on these maps, so we're not actually able to close it out. And it's Method that's finding the win conditions. So maybe on the small map, it will give them more opportunities to win.
Yeah, you can see both of these teams really discussing, and it's quite a contrast as well between Maro and Waz. Maro definitely looks a little bit nervous. Meanwhile, on the other side, you've got Waz like laughing and kind of taking it easy, at least from the appearance that he's showing on the camera. But it looks like we are ready to go into this game. We are on Dalaran Sewers. If you're just tuning in, this is game number 5 of a very intense series. Skill Cap having won the first 2 games, instantly putting themselves on match point and throwing away that chance of a 3-0 very quickly thereafter. Method EU close to reverse sweeping here. Loser of this series will be going home, will be knocked out of the tournament, and winner moving on to the grand finals.
This is it. This is what they've worked for all year. Can they do it? Method versus skill cap. This is their entire year on the line. Loser goes home. Winner advances to get a rematch up against Horizon, waiting for them in the wings of that grand final. Gates are open. We got Shadow Priest Mage versus the Rogue Mage. Both of these teams going to be ending the year with their best foot forward with comfort. Let's see how it goes for them. Waz right now going after Propsy here. Gets a kick into a kidney shot. They poke out the Fleshcraft. With this, they're not going to commit any damage here. Just to go for a nice little bait there. And they are going to sheep up Propsy there and go after Asgarath. So Asgarath and Propsy going to be the targets here for Waz and Tessia. And I feel like on this map, the reason why all of us are so surprised is because sure, Chess can't drink as much on this map, but Waz, he's going to have an excellent time. I mean, look at Propsy, Maro, and Asgarath right now. They're all just on top of each other. He can just go and stun the whole team if he wants to. They're actually going to go for the smoke bomb play here onto Propsy, trying to fish for the dispersion. He doesn't want to trade it. Gets the desperate prayer there in the gap, and it should be enough defense for Propsy to stay alive here. Now, looking to get aggressive on the Tessia. He's got all the time rolling, though. I believe he got purged on it, though. And that's coming out there from Chaz. Should be enough here to stabilize Tessia in that setup. And now, once again, Method looking to get aggressive here.
Yeah, Chaz is chasing Asgarath. Asgarath runs away. Chaz can't keep up with him. Wallace and Tessia just blasting Propsy. Propsy goes for Fleshcraft, trying to anticipate the attack here. Chaz is still chasing Asgarath around the map, but Asgarath is constantly one step ahead of him, staying out of range. Kidney shot. Are they going to blast out some damage here? Ring of Fire. Waz trying to edge it here, but Propsy can just walk out of it pretty easily. Chaz gets a free Tranquility around the corner here as Frosty tries to reposition. I think Frosty might want to try and bait them to stack up for triple fears. So he's going to jump off the side here, and Tessia and Waz are going to pull forward. They're not going off the side, though, just yet. Waz is sneaking around towards Asgarath, looking for a kidney shot. Is he going to be able to get a sap? It looks like they're swapping damage tomorrow. Oh, he's not going to get a sap. That life grip pulls Asgarath so far away from Waz. Now Waz is going to have to figure out where he wants to go. He's got no stuns. He's going to go for a Vanish. Just avoid damage, hide in stealth for a moment, reopen up on a Frosty, but he's got Cenarian Ward for this stun lock. Cenarian Ward is going to be a powerful heal in Frosty. I think it's unlikely we see him take any damage, but they've stacked him up for triple fear. What can they do to capitalize off of that? Doesn't look like too much as Tessia and Chaz are just retreating back to the boxes to line of sight Frosty. Asgarath is far away. He could drink right now. I think this would be a wise move by Asgarath, even though his mana isn't that far ahead or that far from maximum. Just making sure he's always topped on mana is going to be important as he's running that Flourish build. So if he gets a Cenarian Ward Flourish on any go from Method EU, I think it's almost guaranteed that target is not going to be taking too much damage, or at least will avoid death. So Asgarath is going to have to preempt these attacks with that combo as much as possible.
Yeah, let's see if he can get it done. 3 minutes into the game. Do we actually like how the small map is working out? So far, it doesn't seem like Skill Cap is able to get too many cooldowns out of the way. Chaz is going to be sitting down for a drink, and it seems like it's kind of the same old situation. Tessie and Chaz can sit back. Waz is just setting up the team, and when he does get that crowd control, that's when Tessie and Chaz can actually move forward. So far, Skill Cap hasn't fully capitalized as a blind on Asgarath. They're going after Frosty, and they do get the dispersion, but they could go through. Waz, does he have a sap? He has a full sap. Frosty getting shackled right now by Chaz, and he is getting low. Fleshcraft might be able to keep him alive. He's trying to dip out of line of sight. Double fear coming in. Nicely done there by Frosty. Now Tessie actually into a Ring of Frost, so good setup there. Kidney shot on Asgarath. Still not over yet. Was actually going for re-stealth off of the Cyclone, so great play here by Method EU. Good setup, but it looks like they will be able to hold on, and Asgarath super happy that he was able to greet it with his trinket, his medallion. Frosty still has his Void Shift, his Greater Fade, playing Relentless, so has to be a little bit careful. Tessia right now going for a Ring of Frost. Dragon's Breath, Ring of Frost gets interrupted. Good defense
Smoke
there
bomb
by Maro, but still, it's Frosty on the back line. Asgarath seems to be able to heal him. Yeah, Frosty is going to be A-OK through that Smoke Bomb. The Skill Cap's going to be feeling much less afraid. Now that the blind has been dealt with and the Smoke Bomb's been dealt with, Skill Cap can look to get aggressive.
Yep, and we're going to see if Skill Cap can get anything. So far, I want to say the map hasn't actually done anything for them. It just makes it so easy. Look at another setup here. Waz just standing between Asgarath and Propsy. He doesn't need the shadows. He doesn't need to do anything. just saps him up out of the kidney, gets the pressure here, and resaps Asgrath here. Can they continue to chain? If they get the back, it can be dangerous.
It's match point!
They almost get it. Chaz getting counterspelled there. That was a big counterspell, but Frosty's not out of the woods yet. They get the Cyclone here on the Iron Bark. Frosty's going to have Dispersion here. Asgrath with the Fleshcraft does not want to get CC'd right now with Frosty being so low. They managed to hold on to that Dispersion, but that was another deadly push here from Method. And honestly, I feel like Skillcaps are just playing to live right now. They're not actually forcing out any major defensives on anybody on the side of Method. And Method, they have an opportunity here to just walk away with this win and potentially advance.
Skillcaps has been dominating Method EU basically this entire year. This is their last chance to come back and show everybody what they've got. They've locked the whole team down in crowd control, blasting down Frosty, but Frosty deflects with Greater Fade and Massive Spell. Now they're just trying to polymorph and stall, waiting for crowd control. Asgrath retreats away from Chaz and Tessia. He needs to stay far away from that Mage Druid crowd control. Waz trying to line a sight cast at the side of the stairs here. Cyclones on Morrow. Chaz, he's moving in. Doesn't want Asgrath drinking. Jumps right on top of Asgrath, bashing him. Tessia in position, not going for Ring of Frost. They go for Cyclone instead. They interrupt Frosty. Can they kill him in a kick lockout? 2 seconds left on the lockout. Not enough damage to do so. Shadowy Duel. Not going to be really doing too much here. Frosty just tanking Waz in that Shadowy Duel. Not taking too much damage. Waz feints with Iron Bark. Looks like he's able to tank the rest of this damage pretty easily. Druids slightly in favor of mana towards Asgrath at this point, and Skillcaps have locked a map that is very difficult to drink for either side, so it might get dicey here. Kidney Shot and Asgrath. Method EU are setting up to try and go for another cooldown. That Dispersion is the one that they need to get, and they're not finding it. It looks like the sap is going to break. Maybe an Ignite spread there onto Asgrath, breaks him out of the sap, and now Waz is in a bash. Skillcaps need to counterattack here. They need to net a Cloak of Shadows on this push, but they don't have enough damage to do it. Waz is just going to feint, walk it off, and recover. Pushing forward, waiting for that Kidney Shot into sap, onto Asgrath. Maybe a Kidney Shot swap at some point here as they're both stacked up. Asgrath in bear form, expecting it. Waz is just waiting. He goes for the Kidney Shot. Cheap shot on Frosty. Morrow is interrupted. He drops a defensive Ring of Frost. Waz dodges it. Vanishes. Gets the full sap. Pushing for Dispersion. They get Dispersion without Combustion and without Shadow Blades. This is a big opportunity if Smoke Bomb's available for Waz to make a play and win this entire series for his team.
These Kidney Shot saps are so insane. I mean, Waz is getting all the crowd control by himself. It's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, he can just go for the Kidney Shot, it gets the sap, and if Asgrath ever trinkets, he's going to eat a full blind sap. And at this point, I feel like Frosty's going to be in a lot of danger. There it is, the full blind.
Smoke Bomb.
Smoke Bomb drops down with a beautiful Iron Bark. Asgrath reads the situation perfectly. That is the Combustion as well. Morrow getting a little bit of damage here, but now, I mean, you look, there's no Dispersion. Waz, all he needs to do is Kidney Shot. Does he have a Vanish? Does he have... The big thing is if he has his Night Elf Racial, he actually can get the Re-Stealth and go for the sap. So Tessia needs to reload his Combustion, but I don't know if he's going to be able to in time. But still, Method EU, their setups have been looking good. Morrow trying to get something done here onto Tessia, who's in the open, but they're actually swapping now on Asgrath. He does not want to commit his Bark Skin. He is really greeting out the Bark Skin this time, does not want to give it to them for free. And I really like that play from Asgrath. Skillcaps have been playing beautifully defensively, but Method EU, I mean, their offensive capabilities, the way they're bouncing around targets, definitely looking good in this one.
Yeah, and we're going to see Asgrath now once again caught up in the Dragon's Breath into a sheep. This is how he died in the last game. Right now, Kidney Shot is going to connect. Big damage coming out here from Tessia.
No way.
That pillar.
Through Barkskin?
In a Ring of Frost. Can they kill him through Barkskin? That is the question. You get a re-stun, but the damage is done. They do get a big heal. There's still 2 minutes, though, for Prophecy on that Void Shift. Plenty of opportunities still for Method to run away with this game. Can they do it? That is the big question. They got the Combustion coming up for Tessia in a second. They got the Shadowy Duel. They got all the tools they need here potentially to close it out. But Chaz right now getting caught up in CC. There it is. Now they pull the trigger here. Doesn't look like it just yet, actually. It's going to be Skillcaps pulling the trigger first. And it looks like they want to go after Waz here. Morrow popping his Combustion. Waz caught up in a stun. He's going to trinket. He's going to fade. He's going to try to survive here. Tessia with the Alter Time as well as the Triune. But now Waz pulls the trigger.
They're going for it. He's done. They're going for it.
Everything. He's on 1%. And Method EU with the reverse sweep in the semis, in the lower bracket finals. They find the way to victory, and they manage to turn it around with the sub-rogue. Insane.
Absolutely incredible. Method EU, I mean, the first 2 games, a little shaky, but the last 3, I mean, they just looked absolutely on fire. This is the Method EU you know and love. I mean, they just played this Rogue Mage out so beautifully. I feel like maybe Skillcapped could have played a different composition here, but I don't know. This is just a beautiful series. I mean, you said it, Zico. Maybe in the most recent history, it has been Skillcapped